Hey, what's up? It's Julie. I'm a former lawyer, top law student, and lecturer in communication studies. Today we're going to look at what the burden of proof is and what the standard of proof is in criminal law. The burden of proof is who has the burden to prove that the crime happened. So generally this is always on the prosecution, or what we would call the Crown as well. Because in criminal law you always have a government actor trying to keep the community safe, and then they're prosecuting someone else. So that's the burden of proof, which is who has to prove the crime. Next you have the standard of proof, and that is to what standard does the prosecution need to prove the crime to. So generally there are two standards of proof. One is beyond all reasonable doubt, and the other is on the balance of probabilities. The standard of proof that is most often used in criminal law is the beyond all reasonable doubt standard. So you've probably heard that in movies a lot as well. So this standard is, you're not meant to use maths, so this is kind of bad, and they wouldn't do this in court, but I like to think of it as around 98 to 99% sure that it happened. So you can have some doubt, but you can't have any doubt that is reasonable. It's a really hard one to define this standard, and if you look at some cases that have been appealed, they can often appeal the way the judge explained how the standard of proof to the jury. So sometimes the judge will go into too much detail and it might confuse the jury or mislead them a bit as to what the standard is. So to try not to mislead you too much, I would say standard of proof is basically being very, 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 very sure that someone committed the crime. Because remember that if someone is charged with committing a crime, the government is coming in with all their resources and trying to prove it. People's liberty will be taken away often if they are found guilty of the crime, and you know, there's a lot of social stigma against criminals, so it's quite serious if you are proven guilty. So that's why the standard of proof needs to be so high, which is beyond all reasonable doubt. A balance of probabilities is anything that's 51% or higher. So it's not fully proving something, but it's basically more likely than not that that happened. So this is the civil standard of proof. So if you take someone to court, like you sue them for contract or tort, all you have to do is prove that on the balance of probabilities, it's more likely than not that they did the wrong thing, that they breached your contract or hit into your car. That is the burden of proof, which is who has to prove the crime, and that is the standard of proof, which is to what standard does that person need to prove the crime.